remember I was like, okay, these are some examples of how understanding the culture can affect and change your experience. There was one time where I took a trip to Mexico. I come back with some Mexican pesos, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with this? I might as well exchange it into Colombian peso. So I'm walking around looking for an exchange house that can do this transaction. And I'm asking people on the street, and I'm getting frustrated because I feel like I'm getting the runaround. Everybody's like, oh, well, try this place, or well, maybe you should try this place over here. And I'm running around the city all day, right? And now I'm getting frustrated. Like, why doesn't anybody know where the hell, you know what I'm saying, this place is? It didn't dawn on me until later. You have to understand how they're telling you to go to this place. If they're saying, hey, try this, or oh, maybe this, they don't know, they just want to help. And so what I realized at first, I'm like frustrated, but then when I realized that no, this is just their culture, they're so nice, they don't want to say no. Like, they don't know the answer, but they want to try and help you anyway. And I feel like just certain little small things like that about the culture help you understand why the women are so approachable and nice. Even if they don't like you, they're not going to be rude, you know what I mean, if they shoot you down or whatever. So you could feel a lot more comfortable doing that than you could in America, for example. You on mute. You on mute.
Okay, yeah, I would agree. You can keep your ego and get rejected in South America. You know, in the United States, you get rejected, man, they'll make you feel like you ain't shit. You know, so in South America, if you get rejected, you can be like, okay, that's fine. She just wasn't interested. Let me go to the next.
Exactly.
Stateside chicks will make you want to quit.
You're
So
right.
they'll make you want to quit. So how significant? So you already brought this next question up. You had to learn the local language. I was about to ask you how important is the language barrier in dating, but um, there's just certain things that you can't communicate properly through the translator. It's just good that you learn her language. So, what are some social norms in dating that are specifically or unique to Colombia? What are some
Mm,
things that are normal there?
like if a girl in the States, if you invite her out on a date and say, you know what, let's go to this bar and let's go grab obrigado.
Obrigada.
if you um if you ask her, my bad, my girl was bringing me a beer real quick, but if you ask a chick in the United States, hey, let's go out to a bar and grab a drink, and she responds with, okay, but is it okay if I bring my friends or my cousin or whatever, you're gonna be looking at her like, okay, you just trying to take advantage. You know, you see an open wallet, so while it's open, you're trying to get as much as you can out of this transaction. At least that's the way that I would look at it, but that's actually the norm in Colombia, especially for a woman that's going out on a date with you for the first time. She's probably going to want to do it in a group setting to get comfortable with you. Then after that, it's all good. So that was definitely something that I noticed affected the dating culture. So you got to keep that in mind. Don't come with the American mentality. Understand, hey, you in Colombia, this is normal here. You know what I mean?
So, did you have to pay for her friends too, or is it just
Yeah,
that?
yeah, I paid. Dude, I mean, you know, it's nothing. I think we went to like I think I've done this maybe twice, and I don't remember spending more than 50 or $60 for all three of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then at the same time, you kind of look like the man. You at the table, and you're the only one with all of these chicks showing up. You know what I mean? So
I've done it. They tried to
yeah,
get me for 350. I wasn't going for it though because I didn't know that ahead of time. I had to have some guaranteed waiting on me for that. That
fact.
happened to me in Paraguay. They tried to get me with that one. So, what about Brazil? What is something that's socially just a normal thing in Brazil?
Kissing on the first date is super, super normal. Women being affectionate, dude, it don't even have to be a first date. You could literally eyeball a chick across the room at the club, and 5 minutes later, y'all are making out in front of everybody. And to me, that was like the weirdest shit ever when I first
Yeah,
got here. That's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I noticed that. When I first noticed that happened, a chick tried to kiss me just immediately like that. I told her I was like, like that's kind of fast. I was like, I want to kiss you, but like we just started talking like 2 minutes ago. And they were
Right.
telling me like, oh, like in Brazil, like we don't look at it like that. It just happens on the spot. You could, hey, how are you doing? I thought I saw you. I thought you were beautiful. Yeah, let's exchange numbers. What are you doing later on? All right, I'll see you then. Then you kiss. That could be a whole 45-second conversation. She wants you to tongue kiss her.
Man, that the other thing too is like it is not abnormal here to meet a woman and go on a date the exact same day.
Very
Whereas,
normal.
yeah, like in the States, you know what I mean? You get a chick's number, you gotta text her up, you gotta follow all of these stupid rules. I can't double text. I have to wait for her to respond back so I don't look thirsty. It's all of these little games that you gotta play where I feel like the culture here is a lot more forward. There's no games, it's all real.
And one thing that I didn't like about the American chicks is, dudes and women would make excuses for them, and they would say like, "Oh, like maybe they're busy. That motherfucker, they ain't doing shit. They are not busy. They are just purposely ignoring you. They ain't. They once they leave work, their life is over with. But you can meet a chick. South America has spoiled me in this way. If I can't get a date on the first day that we meet, I'm not. I'm not I'm like she doesn't like me like that.
Right.
You know that I've came, but I'm in Sao Paulo. It's not like that. In Rio, it's like that. But in Sao Paulo, I'm not kind of seeing it the same way. Uh, I'm going on dates, but I'm having to talk to them for a couple days, as opposed to Rio. Like you said, you meet them on the street. Okay, it's 2 in the afternoon. Let's meet at 6 o'clock. They'll be there. More than likely, they'll be there. But it's got me spoiled. That's another reason why I couldn't adapt when I was in the States, because like the whole game. No, I'm not into that. Like, listen, I
Right.
just got back from Brazil and everywhere else. Let's meet later on. I don't have time. Don't ask me all these stupid questions. So, what about traditional gender roles? And like, what are the gender roles you would say that you notice in Colombia that you didn't see in the States?
You just said it, traditional gender roles, where that feels like it feels like a dying concept. You know what I mean? In the States, to be able to take on a woman and say, "Hey, I have enough money to hold down this whole household. You don't have to work." I hear many women say, even if they were in that situation, they would still want to work because they don't want to depend on a man. They don't want to, they want to make their own money. Yeah, it's just you don't see those things here. Women are okay with saying, you know what, I'm just gonna hold down the house. You go be the man, bring the money home, and I'll take care of everything else. And I appreciate that. Honestly, that's what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? I was looking for a woman to be a homemaker. I'm not looking for a partner. I don't need your fucking money. I don't need a business partner. You know what I'm saying? I need a real woman. So
Agreed. Agreed. And that's just something that in the States, that's not really a thing. I'm gonna get back to that in a second. So, Lil Ant sent $5 for, can the tourists buy any bud THC not in the CBD in the bud shops in Uruguay? Yes, but don't take my word for it. I'm not. You won't have an issue buying it, but I don't know if it's legal for me to tell you that. So I'm not telling you to do it, but you can buy it.
I could speak on that because I was just in Uruguay. Basically, it's legal there. Matter of fact, Uruguay is a very interesting country politically. It is the most liberal place in the world. Like we talk about liberals and Democrats or whatever in the States, they are not in Uruguay liberals on paper or liberals by association. They are liberal in real life, and you see it in practice, such as things like being the first country to fully legalize marijuana. But as a tourist, no, you can't buy it. You have to have a Uruguayan ID to be able to walk into the shop and buy it. Now, if you could get your hands on something, you're walking around the street smoking, nobody's going to stop you, right? Because it's legal. So,
Yeah, yeah. I went to one of those THC shops in Uruguay, and I didn't buy any weed, but I bought some of the mate infused with
oh,
THC or whatever.
yeah,
That was some of the best. That was some of the best mate I've ever had in my life, and they're all good to me. But that one was just off the chain.
yeah.
So Rodney Woods sent $10 on the super chat. Thank you very much. And Brandon Hayes, the next one, with $5. A quick question: does Rico have any perspectives on colorism in South America and how it relates to how the women feel about foreign men?
Yeah, man. So like that's a question that I kind of touched on earlier in terms of why I feel like Brazil is a better place for black men as opposed to other places. And it's not to say that you can't have success in any country because you absolutely can, but in terms of expanding your options and having the most available women that are into you to choose from, that does come into play, and colorism does matter because they are very colorist in South America. You don't, for example, in Brazil, even in Colombia, you don't see a lot of Black people on the news. You don't see a lot of Black people in politics, which was why it was such a big deal for the current Colombian president to have not only a female vice president, but a Black female vice president. Those are things that you really just don't see often. So there's this, I've even noticed with some of the women that they kind of have like this white savior mentality. No offense to anybody who is of Caucasian descent. I'm just being honest. They look at it as, you know, we are not used to seeing Black men with money. We're not used to seeing Black men with wealth. The only ones they see like that are typically either the white, the European descendants of their own country, or European tourists or white tourists. So in their mind, for the best chance for them at a better life is to like breed out, date outside of their race. You know what I mean? So yeah, like even in Colombia, you're going to have a segment of women that's just like, no, I don't date Black guys. I've literally seen that before.
Yeah, I was talking to a local, what was that, maybe Friday or Thursday, and he lived in the United States, and he told me that. Can you hear that background noise?
No.
Okay, good. He told me that when he lived in the States, he noticed that the Blacks there were very pro. But he's been all over the world, and he said that the Blacks were very pro-Black. And when you think about it, the only slave colonies around the world, I think we are the ones that actually embrace Blackness the most. Like you go to, and he was saying when you come back to Brazil or Colombia or somewhere in Latin America, people, it's almost like some people don't even want to be in public with you. You know, it's like the chicks will smash you, but being, and this is generally speaking, not all the time, but they'll smash you, but bringing you home to mom, that's not always going to be the easiest thing. You know, in Latin America, I noticed. So yeah, colorism is definitely a huge thing. But I don't, on a day-to-day basis, you won't be getting discriminated like somebody walking up and calling you a nigga to your face. Like that won't happen, but it's just little passive aggressive slight stuff that I think that you'll see from what I've noticed.